Today we will have a presentation given by Gülbanu Kaptan, the effect of socio-demographics on measured households' food waste. Thank you very much for accepting to give a presentation today. And after that, as usually, we will have time for discussions if you have questions for our presenter today. And also we will ask you to give the tip to us by answering some questions. At the end, we will present the specialty of next month. And we will ask you to register already for the next Café talk. And with this, I think I give the screen to Gülbanu. Please, you can start with your presentation.
Hello, everyone. Hope you are doing well. Now I'm sharing my presentation. I don't know you feel the same, but I have been doing these for many years since the COVID. Many times I teach, I present, and each time when I start the presentation, I'm a little worried if something happens or not. Do you see my screen now?
Yes, we do. Just put in presentation mode, please.
I did. Okay. Hi, everyone. I am Gülbanu. I'm an associate professor in behavioral decision making at the Center for Decision Research in Leeds University Business School. My research is on the psychology of decision making with a special focus on developing communications for informed decision making and designing interventions for positive behavior change. I have 3 programs of research, so food waste is not the only area I'm working on. It is the main one. So the first one is reducing food waste at household. I also have research on improving food safety practices at home. And the third one is the public acceptance of novel food technologies. And the research that I'm presenting today started as an MS dissertation project of one of my students, Tria Kuang. It was a company project supervised by myself and colleagues from RAP, Tom Quested and Marcel Torode. Later, it became a paper which is under review now. So I would like to start with a brief introduction. Maybe no need to mention about this, but it's how we start to this sort of presentations. As you all know, households in both industrialized and non-industrialized countries produce more food waste than the rest of the supply chain combined. For example, in the UK, household food waste makes up 6% of all food waste. So it's a concern. I'm a behavioral scientist for my area and for people working in other areas as well. Different types of behavior change interventions have been applied to reduce consumer food waste, such as awareness campaigns, prompts and tools for households, and coaching to households. For the design of successful interventions, one of the questions we need to answer is, which households contribute most to food waste? And one of the aims of this study was to answer this question by using waste composition analysis, WCA data. Waste composition analysis directly measure households' food waste by sorting food from non-food and weighing the amount of food present. But of course, it is costly to do. That's why I conducted the project with RAP. This was one aim of the project. The other aim was to answer the question of what behaviors are associated with household food waste, what specific behaviors. But it's not the topic of my talk today because it's a short talk. I will just focus on the socio-demographic part. And one last thing I would like to mention is that directly measuring food waste like with waste composition analysis, rather than relying on self-reports, has advantages because a direct measure does not require a good memory of participants, and it is not prone to social desirability bias. Having said this, the variation of food waste by socio-demographics was mostly worked on in relation to self-reported food waste. And the findings of these studies are quite inconsistent, except for the association of age and household size with food waste. Consistently, older people were found to produce less food waste. The literature I included in the slide, these are just examples. I didn't want it to seem very busy, but there are, of course, more literature on each of these points. So older people produce less food waste. This is one consistent finding. And the other one is the ascending household size correlate with more food waste, whereas per capita food waste per person in household decrease as household size increase. This is also a consistent finding. About the rest, the literature findings are quite inconsistent. For example, education. Highly educated, in one study, it was found that highly educated Portuguese wasted less. However, in a study with EU citizens from 28 countries, it was found that people from lower education levels wasted less. There are also studies that show that there is no correlation between education and the amount of food waste. Regarding gender, for example, Finnish women were found to generate more food waste. However, in other studies in the UK and Spain, men were reported producing higher levels of food waste. That is one of the reasons we wanted to conduct this study. So we aim to assess the effects of socio-demographic factors, age, gender, income, education, working status, household size, and living situation on directly measured food waste. For this purpose, we analyzed two sets of data. One set is waste composition analysis data collected by the contractors working for RAP, and data collected through a questionnaire that ask participants about their demographics, in addition to their knowledge, attitudes, and behaviors. We employed generalized linear modeling with phasing out method, as suggested in the literature, which means we first entered all the socio-demographic factors into a multivariate model and removed them stepwise, starting with the least significant variables until only the variables at the 5% significance level remained. And the data was collected between October 2021 and March 2022. This period involved both the surveys and waste composition analysis. And these are the same households, of course. And it's a quite big sample across the UK. Here you see the descriptives about the socio-demographic variables we investigated. So these are the descriptives of age, gender, income, education, working status, and household size. I also included home composting at the end of the table because it was an important variable in consumer food waste research, in our research as well. Just very briefly, about half of the sample were between 35 and 64 years old. More than half graduated from high school or below. And the sample was slightly female dominant because, for example, in the UK, I think according to the statistics, the females are 51%. Also, 64% of the households consisted of 1 or 2 occupants. So this was the descriptives, and now the results. Here you see the significant results about household size and home composting. Households of 1 or 2 people, if you look at the green bars, households of 1 or 2 people produce more food waste per person than those that lived in a household of 3 or more people. And there's a significant difference between the amount of food wasted by a household of 1 person compared to 2. We couldn't find any significant difference, the same significant difference between the households consisting of 3, 4, 5 people. So there was a significant difference between the households consisting of 1 person and 2 people. Regarding home composting, households that composted at home produce significantly less wasted food than those that did not compost their waste. Why are these results important? Because this suggests that it is important to include both household size and home composting as control variables in the model, given the strength of the relationship between these variables and the amount of food waste. And it is well documented in the literature. So when we look at the effect of socio-demographics or behaviors on food waste, we usually control household size and home composting. Our results also show that respondents aged between 35 and 64, this should be 35, I couldn't change it, sorry. So the respondents aged between 35 and 64 and those between 18 and 13 wasted more food than those over 64. Regarding education, people wasted significantly more food than those with university and higher university degrees. The effects of gender, income, and working status were insignificant. We couldn't find any significant relationship between gender, income, working status, and wasted food. Now I would like to both summarize the main results and discuss a little by comparing with literature findings. The first one is our results show that age is a significant factor in understanding the amount of edible food waste in households, because we found that participants older than 64 wasted less than younger age groups. This result is in line with previous research based on self-reported food waste and also directly measured food waste. Quite consistent. Why? Some researchers attributed older people's lower food waste to their personal experiences with food scarcity during and after World War II that resulted in higher levels of awareness about the impact of food waste. However, others attributed older people's lower food waste to their lower proportion of impulse buying and resistance to promotional offers. Of course, I just speculate, but I am more inclined, I'm more convinced with the second explanation, considering that people who were born in 1950s, for example, are now 74 years old. So maybe in the past, the first explanations was more appealing because of World War II, etc. But the second explanation is quite interesting and actually makes sense, but of course needs further research. Our results suggest that participants with a university degree or higher wasted less food than those without a university degree. This was an interesting result we found. because it contrasts with most previous studies that found significant correlations between higher levels of education and higher levels of food waste. The difference in findings may have resulted from different methods of collecting food waste data, because nearly all of these studies that reported that higher levels of education correlates with higher levels of food waste, they were all self-report studies. Also, the difference in findings may result from varying locations of studies. Again, I find it more appealing. It is about researchers' categorizations of education levels. It is what I noticed when I was reviewing these studies. The question asked is not consistent. It's not the same in each country. It is not because of the researcher. It is because the educational system of the country. For example, in one study, it was asked the years in education up to 15 or up to 20. In others, it directly asked about A-level and university degree, for example. In our case, in RAP's questionnaire, it was up to university degree, higher university degree, etc. So this could also explain the differences in results. And also, there could be other factors not measured in this survey, and correlated to education levels. It applied to other results as well. Whenever you look at the correlation between a socio-demographic and food waste, or a behavior and amount of food waste, there could be always other factors not measured in the survey, and makes the correlation higher and lower. And this is the conclusion. So to enable behavioral interventions that reduce wasted food for a given demographic group, there is a need to understand what other factors contribute to explaining wasted food and are associated with these key socio-demographic groups. So the main aim is designing successful behavioral interventions, and we need to know if there is any, which socio-demographic groups, how much they waste, and then we can target the interventions, or we can design the interventions accordingly. I would like to thank you very much for listening, and I'm happy to answer any questions and hear your comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Gülbanu. If there are any questions, yes, I see someone with a raised hands. Go ahead, please. You can ask your question. Turn on your microphone.
Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Hi, Gülbanu.
Hi.
I have maybe 2 or 3 questions. One is you talked about age, but if there's a family of 4, there's an age distribution. So you have younger people and older people in the same household. So how do you measure the age of the food waste? And also, you talked about the World War II factor. What I have came across is that the people in about 40s, 50s right now, their parents are the have suffered from food shortage after World War II. And they have, they are very strict when they're telling the children to finish their food. But parents these days are not so strict. So maybe the effect will come down to not only the 70s, but maybe 50 or years old or something like that. And another thing about compost, you your graph showed that people who compost, they have less food waste. But isn't it that the food waste go to compost and not into your sample?
Of course.
So,
Okay, let's start from the last one. It is easier to remember the last one. Home composting, it is the disadvantage of waste composition analysis, because if food is if food goes to compost, waste food goes to compost, of course you can't measure it. So, however, if you do it with a self-reported measure, then you have the chance to measure it. It is a disadvantage of waste composition analysis, and actually in the literature, it is suggested to apply a hybrid approach if possible, rather than just only self-reported or waste composition analysis. But here we applied waste composition analysis. Regarding the World War II, I think we are on the same page. I don't know how I sounded when I explained, but I think we don't think differently. I also think that, of course, these are all speculations. We need more data and particular writing, in-depth analysis, why older people waste less, like interviews, etc. So I also think that the reasoning of World War II was more valid in the past, but nowadays things change, and there are also studies conducted with younger people, and food waste is not the center of their lives if they express themselves really busy, etc., so on, although their parents did differently. So I think we are on the same page. Regarding the average age, so what I remember, this data doesn't reflect, for example, if it is age, it's not the average age of a household. Because there are questions in the survey that ask about the main person who does the shopping, who cooks, whether it is the person or it is a shared job, etc. So it is screened. Age of one household reflects the age of that person, the responsible person. Okay.
So maybe if you
Okay.
could identify the age structure of each household, you might come up with a more accurate kind of analysis.
Yeah, that might be. Yeah, you're right.
Okay. Thank you very much. We have also Ilva with a raised hand. Ilva, you want to ask your question, please?
Thank you. Good morning, Gülbanu. That was super interesting and excellent, of course. I think you kind of started to answer my question already, but my question was, what do you see as the next steps in this area to add to this research? So you talk about the various factors. So the things I was thinking about was like the impact on lifestyle and skills. Bit of a favorite topic, but and how this would impact. So just your thoughts on what should be added next to this excellent piece of research.
Thank you, Ilma. So, for example, regarding age, that's why I highlighted the second explanation. If it is indeed the case that older people don't do impulse buying, which means they have proper food waste behavior. So it means that I think we can use it to design behavioral interventions for younger people too. Because if we indeed approve it with in-depth analysis, for example, lower impulse buying leads to less food waste, and it is important for the older generation. We may find ways perhaps to apply it to younger generations. That's why it's important. And one of the implications, I think, for example, about age is that whether you do it with self-reported data or waste composition analysis, you get similar results, which is great, because then in a way it validates the self-reported data results. two. Regarding education, if the results, that's what we found. And if there aren't any external factors that we didn't measure in the survey, and it was indeed the result, then it means that education makes people more informed, maybe. And if it is the case, then again, I think it is important for behavioral interventions, like having this in schools, in higher education, in universities, more emphasizing it, so on. So these are the things I can think of now.
Yes, ladies, I have to interrupt you. I'm sorry. I find these discussions very nice, but we need to go to the next part. Gülbanu, there is a question in the chat if you want to answer to it. If not, we can stay and talk a bit after Sophia will do the Slido, because otherwise she will be very angry with me. So please, Sophia.
This is a simple question. I think I can quickly answer.
Okay,
What
I have
we
to
measured
go.
is edible food waste.
So edible. Okay, good.
Okay,
Thank you.
so sorry, I would like to invite you to participate in a quick Slido session. It's really important for us that you participate because it will be part of our report and also because it will help us to build our 2025 monthly Café talks. So please scan the QR
Thank-
code or go to the slido.com and write the code 1296845. And to start, we have the first question that describe, please, in a word, your take-home message from this Café talk. Wait, please engage in our Slido. Okay. Just waiting for, we still have 2 participants typing. One, and I think is the same because we still have 6 participants engaged in our Slido session. Thank you very much. And now what about the next question is, what do you think about the discussion? Many was left to discuss. There was nothing else to add. We need more talks on this topic. I can guess the answer to this one.
This is
Our
a very
yeah.
complicated topic.
Oh, and now we have 8 participants engaged. Thank you very much. So next question, how about the length of this Café talk? Too long, too short, just about right? That is just to think to our 2025 monthly Café talks. 6, we have lost 2 of the participants. What a pity. 7.
The screen hasn't moved on.
Okay. But the
Oh,
answer will
Ilva,
be
it's
there.
you.
Got it, yeah.
But the answer will be there for sure. If you, yeah, it's
Yes.
now. How will you rate this Café talk? And I will wait for our participants. Two more. Is any left? Anyone left? 2 minutes?
I don't know. Yeah,
8.
8. You have 8
8.
now.
Great.
Good.
As in the same, I think we are in the same score of the other Café talks also, as we were
Yes.
expecting a great talk today. And which other topics you would like to discuss in the next Café talks? That is the last one. Even if you are our custom attendant of our sessions, please write, because it will be stronger for the topics of the 2025 monthly Café Talks. Okay.
Yes, and while you are typing, I apologize, we have passed a bit the time. If you can stay just 2 more minutes to end this, it will be very nice. But I'm always the one to interrupt the discussions, and I think it's a pity because those are the interesting parts. So I apologize for going over the time.
Okay, our 8 participants already answered. Thank you very much for your participation, and I give the word to Luminita.
Yes, I will just very fast announce the last Café Talk of 2024, the last of the series that we have organized this year, which will be on December 13, before the winter holidays. Again, at 11, we will meet and we will have a talk given by Maurizio Notarfonso about the best practices to reduce food loss and waste in the agri-food sector as offered by research and innovation. And now in the chat, you have the link to register already for this monthly Café Talk, for the last one. And otherwise, follow WASTELESS, and we will post there the link and the registration form and everything. And with this, I would like to thank you for your attention, wishing you a nice Friday and a nice weekend, and see you next time. Thank you for joining us and drinking your coffee with us today. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you, Gülbanu.